Tonight on Missing Persons Unit,
Okay, proceed.
as police comb plateaus and ravines,
There's teams of people here, volunteers, police, police rescue.
the search for bushwalker Alan Kennedy steps up.
At this point, we don't know whether there's a self-harm issue.
In Queensland, Sean Sargent was a standout soldier.
He had this top secret security clearance.
But whatever happened to him? Is he missing or working undercover?
They weren't interested in looking for him. It never made sense to me.
In New South Wales, a Turkish immigrant vanishes.
I'm just thinking, he can't go too far. It must be on the corner somewhere.
His worried niece hits the streets with police.
He's on that way.
And all hell breaks out when young Ariel runs off.
Oh, my God.
But it's no laughing matter.
We're worried about if she's getting into drugs. We're worried about prostitution.
Good morning. How are we all?
It's 8 a.m, another early start at the Missing Persons Unit.
We have about 15 cases that are still outstanding, and there's a couple that we want to pay attention to. Mandy, you've got a elderly gentleman, only speaks Turkish, or actually only yells Turkish. He's got some problem that when he can't talk normally, he just yells.
Senior Constable Mandy Gale gets the case of 65-year-old Turkish immigrant Omar Orkan. He went missing 16 hours ago, and as a dementia sufferer, he wandered off during a family barbecue.
The concerns for him because he will wander, has dementia. Liz, we've got the case of Ariel Larson. I think she's 14. Young girl missing from the Ermington area.
Senior Constable Liz Cicluna is investigating the case of Ariel, a 14-year-old schoolgirl being led astray by so-called friends.
So if you could make inquiries and see what the full story is, and perhaps see what you can do to track this young girl down and get her back to mum.
All right, developments in the case of Mr Kennedy, who was lost up in the Blue Mountains. There's a second and final search occurring today.
An experienced bushwalker, 74-year-old Alan Kennedy, disappeared in the national park 6 weeks ago. The first search of surrounding canyons failed to find any sign of him.
Yeah, Doug and Gary are heading up there as we speak. Obviously, they're looking for remains, but if they can turn up something, it'll be a bit of closure for the family, so fingers crossed for that one. Okay, that's it from me, guys. Have a great day.
At the same time in Queensland, Detective Senior Sergeant Jim Ryan is investigating a new lead into the mysterious disappearance of missing Army Lieutenant Sean Sargent.
If Sean is still alive, the chances of locating him as time goes on, in my opinion, definitely increase.
24-year-old Sean had the Army's highest security clearance. As a signals officer, he was trained in covert surveillance.
Sean was a pretty dedicated soldier. He saw a future in his career as an officer in the Army. He was fit. He was well liked by all his friends and associates and colleagues. He got on well with his family.
But 8 years ago, after a night's drinking at a party in Brisbane, Sean vanished.
Sean was last seen leaving that address with the intention of going to his car to have a bit of a sleep, and that's the last contact anyone's ever had with him.
At first, police thought Sean had accidentally driven his Blue Falcon here into the nearby Brisbane River.
He was not seen to get in the vehicle or drive away. However, they saw him walk towards the vehicle, and as they drove off, that was the last they saw of him.
Sean's car has never been found. But a few days ago, a routine sonar check found a large object on the riverbed, close to where Sean's car was last seen. So Jim's planning a river search to look for Sean's Blue Falcon.
The car may not hold the key, but it may give us that little piece of the jigsaw that we are missing.
Today, Jim's flying 1,000 kilometres north to Mackay to brief Sean's family on the search. He also needs to find out more about his movements in the days just before his disappearance.
Until such time as either Sean is found or there are human remains found and they are identified as Sean's, the file will remain open.
Meanwhile, down south at Sydney's Missing Persons Unit,
Hi Katrina, it's Senior Constable Sargent from the Missing Persons Unit. How are you?
Liz is calling Katrina Larson, the mother of 14-year-old runaway Ariel.
My little escapee at the moment.
When was the last time you heard from her? Because I understand that she's been missing for 4 days.
Yes. We saw her get onto a bus just near the house, and we chased her the bus up the street, and my girlfriend and I stood at each door of the bus, and when she got off, she basically did a runner from me when she got off the bus.
Her mum says Ariel's had run-ins with police before, when she's been hanging out with street kids.
And are you aware if she's taking any drugs?
I know she's smoking, because one of the constables who...
Smoking what, cannabis or...?
No, cigarettes at the moment. I know she has tried cannabis in the past but doesn't like it. She's hanging out with a girl who's a habitual runaway.
Yep. And what time do you think you'll be home? Because we'd love to come out and have a chat with you.
3:30.
All right, we'll see you then, all right?
Okay, I'll see you then. Thank you.
Nice talking to you. Bye. 14-year-old like Ariel, we're worried about if she's getting into drugs. We're worried about prostitution. We're worried about all different kinds of factors that could affect a child. We're worried that she may not return home. So getting into all kinds of strife. She's got no income, no means of support. She's on the streets.
Meanwhile, back in Mackay, Jim Ryan's arrived to talk with the family of missing Army Lieutenant Sean Sargent.
Jim Ryan, good to finally meet you. How are you going?
Not too bad.
Sean's dad, Tom, still can't accept that his son, who loved his life in the Army, disappeared off the face of the earth.
Well, he's never missed a day from the Army ever in 6 years, so it was pretty unusual for him to suddenly miss them all. Well, everybody said it was really out of character. He was green through and through. He loved the Army.
And it's because of that that Sean's mum and dad don't believe he's dead. And the deeper they search, the more mysterious it all becomes.
And there's nothing I won't do. I don't care if I upset anybody or not, which I'm forever doing, I can tell that. But so what? I'll just keep digging away. You never know, one day something might pop up.
And what Tom is digging up is unexpected and totally out of character for Sean.
About a month before, he told his girlfriend that he had to finish the relationship because he was going to do some damn thing. I don't know what, not too sure what he was going to do. And then the week before he went missing, he took about everybody he knew out to tea or asked them out.
It was clear Sean was preparing for something.
Yeah, about a week before he went missing, he amalgamated all his accounts into one in the Army credit union. Everything, all his debts and everything were all consolidated into one account. That was about a week before he went missing.
It was obvious Sean was getting his life in order. But why? Now, 8 years on, the pain is still etched on their faces. Sean's family still spends every waking moment searching for answers.
We're like a massively loving, very stubborn, tenacious family, and that is why there is nothing on this earth that will ever stop Dad from looking for him.
Yeah, I even look through crowd photographs if I see them on the internet or in papers and things, you know. I know that it's not going to be there, but I still feel as if I'm doing something if I do look. I haven't abandoned it.
In Sydney, Liz Cicluna is on the trail of 14-year-old runaway Ariel Larson.
We're concerned because she's vulnerable due to her age, the people that she may be hanging around with. It could well be that she may not want to return home.
Ariel lives with her single mum, Katrina, and her older sister.
Hello, Katrina. Yes. How are you going? Thank you. Where's Cicluna?
Hello, Doug McIntyre.
Okay. All right, so since you've come back from the shop, still no word? No, okay.
Only the sighting the other day, about 2 days ago, when I tried to get off the bus, and I was unable to. I thought I'd give her a chance, so she walked off the bus and then she did the run, folded on me, so...
Ariel, seen here on video, went missing when her best friend Christine wasn't allowed to move in.
She's quite young for her age, whereas this other girl's quite experienced. She's been running away from home for the last, say, 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 years.
She's been on the streets now for 4 days, and Liz knows that without money, she could be in real trouble.
How does Ariel support us? Like, do you give her money, or is she on some sort of youth
I get
benefit?
Centrelink benefits at the moment.
So she's got no money on her whatsoever?
No income whatsoever. No.
But her sister Hayley has heard different.
They scab $40 off people in the city, and all over Wilmington they made $45 just by begging.
And her mum Katrina knows only too well how serious this is.
I left home at 14 too, so I'm not angry at her. I'm just concerned for her future and the path she's taken at the moment. That's what really gets me. I know how fast it can turn, how many ways you can go. I've been them. So, you know, that's what I'm worried about. That she's just going to fall off the path and she's just going to keep going down the wrong way.
Meanwhile, back in Mackay in North Queensland, Sean Sargent's dad, Tom, is convinced the Army is not telling him everything they know.
About 3 weeks after he went missing, they told me they weren't looking for him. They wrote me a letter saying that if it wasn't productive or something, they told me.
So what's your opinion as far as Sean being missing is concerned? Do you think in your heart of hearts that he's still out there alive, or do you think something tragic's happened to him?
The Army told me that he'd been trained to disappear. Well, the Army officer told me that, and they said it was a waste of time looking for him because if he didn't want to be found, there's no way you were going to find him because they'd already trained him to do that.
He's, as far as you know, he's never been officially discharged from the Army.
They said they gave me a date they would discharge him. When the date came, I asked them to give me a letter saying they had, and they refused. They said they wouldn't do it.
And not long after Sean disappeared, the Sargent family was sent a file marked top secret.
And I told missing persons about it, and they said, oh, send us a copy, and I was going to, and then I phoned up the major who was in charge of his outfit there, and I mentioned it to him, and he said, if you photograph a copy of that, you'll be breaking the law and we can prosecute you and all that. And I said, oh, whoops, he said, and send it back straight away. So I did.
And once they got their top secret papers back, the Sargent family says the Army closed ranks.
They didn't want to talk to us. They just leave him so frustrated because no one would talk to him. And he rang up, he was ringing up nearly every day. And for a while they would talk to him, but then they got to the stage where they knew who was calling. They wouldn't even answer the phone.
Back in the western suburbs of Sydney,
If I find out any further information tonight, I'll give you a call.
Liz has just received info that 14-year-old runaway Ariel Larson has been spotted begging for money at the local shops.
Okay, so we've just spoken with Ariel's mother. She's quite concerned about her daughter being 14, the people that she's hanging around with. She's told us that Ariel's quite known up at the Wilmington shops, so we're going to have a chat with some of the shopkeepers and see what we can come up with.
I want to avoid the cigarettes, the drugs, the alcohol, the people, the deviates, the manipulators, the cons. I wanted to avoid all those people. She doesn't need to know them. They're not worth knowing. I know.
And then Liz gets some great news over the radio.
The missing person has been recovered as a person at risk.
It appears the North Shore police vehicle has actually got the missing person and another female stopped at Parramatta Railway Station. So I'm going to attempt to get onto the radio and see if they can hold those two children there. Special Operations 212.
Special Ops 212.
Radio, we're actually after the missing person, Ariel Larson. If I can just confirm that location, because we'd like to come down and pick her up.
Castle Street, Parramatta, 50 metres east of Station Street.
Yeah, Special Operations 212, copy that. We're making our way there now.
Special Ops 212 out.
Let's go get her.
Righto.
Back in Queensland, as divers prepare to search the Brisbane River, Jim Ryan is back from Mackay with Sean's parents, who've travelled down for the search. On the night he disappeared, Sean told his mates that he was drunk and was going to sleep it off in his car.
He may have slept in his car for a while. and then driven off. No one actually saw him leave. He may have decided to drive home and have taken a wrong turn and gone into the river.
And while searching the river on another investigation, police located a large object on the bottom.
If we do locate what we're looking for, we'll have the divers go to that vehicle underwater. They'll be working in black water. They'll have to rig the car up with chains and all rigging equipment, and a tow truck will be called, or some, possibly a crane even, and it'll be called in to remove the vehicle from the water.
As Tom and Ruth look on, it all hits them. They may now be staring at their son's watery grave.
Yeah, well, I don't really know whether I'm hopeful they will or hopeful they won't. It's sort of, I suppose you'd call it mixed emotions. I'm not too sure what I feel, to be honest with you.
Meanwhile, back in Sydney, the police net has closed over 14-year-old Ariel Larson, who's been found roaming the streets.
Hello.
Hi, how you going? Ariel, we've been looking for you. I would like to have a chat with you, okay? You're 14 years old. Police have been out there looking for you. You need to come home with us. Firstly, what I want to find out, wait a second, what I want to find out is, have you been harmed at all while you've been out roaming the streets?
No. Swear to God, I haven't.
It's not a laughing matter. All right, it's very serious. We can't have 15, 14, 13, whatever age, roaming the streets. It's not safe. So what's going to happen now is you're going to jump in the car with us, and we're going to take you home to your mum, and we're going to sort this out.
After 4 days on the run, Ariel's finally back with her relieved mother.
It's nice that you've come home, Ariel. Yeah. Wonderful. See, isn't it lovely? Come on. What's wrong? You're a bit embarrassed, are you?
Go away.
Your life will give me.
That's so rude.
Ariel, come here.
Ariel, I missed you.
The 14-year-old runaway is home.
Oh, my God.
But not for long.
Have you got the radio?
Back on the Brisbane River,
Driver's ready?
in the search for Army Lieutenant Sean Sargent,
Okay, action's on.
police are about to dive on the spot where sonar images show something big enough to be Sean's car.
What we've done today is we've waited till the slack tide in the river because the tide's moved and there's a lot of current. It will be black water that we're diving in today. The conditions aren't the best anyway for diving.
Another rock.
In black water, the only way to search is by feel, centimetre by centimetre.
They're just searching on the grid pattern on the bottom because, well, as you can see, they wouldn't see anything in there. It'd be so murky.
Yes, and the bloke said he couldn't even smoke holding a hand over the front of your eyes. Huh?
Yeah.
And finally, the divers surface, tired and disappointed. The sonar readings turn out to be a large boulder.
I'm Josh Cowan from the Police Diving Squad. How you going? Can positively say that there's no vehicle in there off this boat ramp anyway. So in 8 years, there's been a lot of king tides, lower tides. The current is very strong in the river at times, especially when it rains. It just gets that extra flow going, and it can move things the size of vehicles around.
When a flood come with that river being as deep as it is, would it wash a vehicle a long way? Or?
It could really be. In fact, after 8 years, it could be anywhere within that river. It could be in the middle.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'm a bit disappointed, I guess, but I didn't want you to find anything, but now that you haven't, I'm disappointed. Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah. I'm glad he's not in there. Every little thing that gets done makes me feel like I'm achieving something, so no intention of giving up. There's got to be an answer somewhere. It's a matter of finding it.
Meanwhile, back on the chase,
She's gone back in the back door.
Ariel, the angry 14-year-old, is making life hell for everyone. From mum, Katrina, it's a mixture of relief and anxiety over how to keep her daughter off the streets.
Yeah, we'll give you some time to have a chat.
All right, I'll just see what's going on. And I'll speak to you guys later if that's okay.
It is always such a difficult moment. One that Liz has experienced so many times before.
It's fairly obvious she doesn't want to be home and tried to escape, but we've chased her around the side of the house and there was nowhere really for her to go, so she's ran back inside the house. What's going on? She appears to be a very angry girl at the moment, for whatever reason it may be. So I'm just worried that...
So, before it gets out of hand, Liz intervenes.
Guys, let's time out here. All right, let's not argue. You're home, Ariel, and your mother wanted you home.
And Liz needs all her experience to try to keep things calm.
I come across many different types of kids. Kids with serious problems, more than you, all right? Kids that don't want to help.
But she knows, in the end, it's all up to the family.
Relationships with Ariel at the moment.
Yes. All right.
There is a good Ariel in there. We just have to get her to come out again.
No problems.
Thank you very much.
No dramas. I'm glad to bring her home to you. Okay. Ariel doesn't really want to open up to us about where she's been. She does appear to be fine, both physically and mentally. So apart from that, there's not really a whole lot more we can do now other than offer our support and some support services that are out there to assist Ariel and her mother.
Meanwhile, back at Missing Persons headquarters, Mandy has begun her new case to find dementia sufferer Omar Orkin.
Hello.
Sooner.
Yes.
Sooner, it's Mandy from the Missing Persons Unit. How are you going?
Not too bad.
Not too good, though.
She's talking to his worried niece, who reported him missing.
So about how long sooner since, from when someone saw him to when you noticed he was missing?
You must have gone disappeared about 6:30, but we realised that around 8:30.
So it's about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and so with...
Omar has the mental capacity of a young child and speaks no English. And this is the first time in his 65 years he's been separated from his family.
He hasn't wandered off before?
No, we're always next to him, always someone next to him. Like, we start looking outside the road, we looked at the parks, we looked in the hospitals. And
we can come with you, if you like, and you can sort of... Because it might be easier if you show us exactly where he was seen last.
Okay.
And so we know the area. So we'll be there shortly.
Okay,
all right, take it easy.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, the poor things, my gosh. The problem we face every day is the public aren't as quick, I guess, to offer a hand or ask, are you okay? And I guess there's a language barrier there too. So hopefully somebody will be out there having a look and might ring up and say, look, there's an elderly gentleman wandering around, doesn't look quite well. And that's how, a lot of these people get found.
Up in the Blue Mountains, west of Sydney, police are on their way to make one final search for missing bushwalker Alan Kennedy.
Essentially, we're going out to do a ground search of the area around Mount Hay for Mr. Kennedy. We'll have 2 search teams, and we'll try and cover the cliff escarpments and other tourist-type areas where the tracks and that go to. We're just hoping that we can cover that before these storms come in today.
In our last program, Alan's family reported him missing.
Serious concern because he's 74. His age may have failed him in the last month and a half. He may be overly confident of his ability to go on an extended bushwalking, or he may have come into some misadventure.
So the Missing Persons Unit immediately searched the caravan park where the 74-year-old lived.
He hasn't spoken to anybody in the area at all.
He used to always go around the caves and the dams and that. He camped for a fortnight at a time.
And police rescue descended deep into canyons to look for the experienced bushwalker in creeks and caves. While up above, his son looked on, praying for good news.
Still hoping just that he probably just had a fall and on a track and somebody would find him.
But after hours of searching the treacherous cliffs and canyons, the rescue party climbed back empty-handed.
Shocking.
So today, Doug and Gary are back on the mountain, not only with police rescue, but a large group of emergency volunteers to search a new area.
We're out here today essentially for Mr. Kennedy. He's 74 years old. His vehicle was found actually right here. His van that was found here had some overnight gear in it, but it was still in the vehicle, so we can only assume that if he was coming out here to stay, he would have come back to his van. So, because the information that we have about Mr. Kennedy is that he's probably unlikely to have sort of bush bashed or scrub bashed anywhere. So that's why we're focusing on the tracks out here. As we all know, this pretty large area, and we're looking for a needle in a haystack, unfortunately.
This search will be the final sweep of the area where Alan Kennedy went missing 6 weeks before. Meanwhile, Mandy Gale is on her way to Sydney's west to search for missing Omar Orkin.
He's a little Turkish man that's gone missing from a family party. He's elderly, and according to his niece, he's always with somebody. He walks with a hunch, and he has an illness that causes him to yell, which could be offensive to people. So if he's disorientated and wandering around and yelling at people, people probably may not approach him. So
because there's been no sighting, Mandy thinks he may have slept in one of the local parks.
I don't know how big this river is.
And because Omar can't swim, Mandy's very worried he may have fallen into the river.
He's been out overnight, and we've had no calls from the public or hospitals that I'm aware of with the gentleman that matches his description, and his description is unique. It's quite different to other people wandering around the street, so I'm worried, yeah, that no one's picked him up. I would have thought he'd been found by now.
Up in the Blue Mountains, outside Sydney,
do a line search directly back towards the car park.
The temperature hits the mid-30s as searchers fan out from the car park to look for Alan Kennedy.
Basically, we're doing some extended line searching, so which just basically means that the guys are spreading out in a long line, searching for clues, scouring the ground as they go past, and it's quite a slow and methodical type of search.
And in a matter of minutes, they find their first clue.
Good find. A pair of glasses has been located. It certainly looks like it's been there for a little while, so what we're going to do is just mark the location of it. We certainly don't know at this stage whether or not this relates to Mr. Kennedy.
I've viewed a number of photographs, and he does, in every one of those photos, he's wearing glasses. So this is certainly a development we've been looking for.
Yeah, Forward Command Alpha 1, just advising, we've located a pair of glasses. I'll give you a grid when you're ready to receive.
And as Doug and Matt mark the find...
It's 5902.
Everyone ready?
The search teams head off towards Mount Hay and the surrounding cliffs, fearing the worst, but still hoping for the best. In the case of dementia sufferer Omar Orkin, Mandy and Gary are meeting his worried niece, Suna. She's been searching the streets for him ever since she reported him missing.
Where are you going? It's Gary or Mandy? I was waiting on the phone earlier. Is it okay to come in?
65-year-old Omar, who only arrived in Australia last year, suffers many disabilities.
He walks, has got a problem walking. He walks like bending down. He's got a bit arch, and he shakes when he's walking, and he can't speak. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. People hits the kids and just drives off. You know what I mean? They don't care anymore. You never know. You never know what kind of people he's going to come across, you know?
Oh, yeah, I'll get in touch with Flemington. I'll give you my number, and, yeah, we'll do a real good look around.
All right.
We'll do our best. Don't worry too much, OK? No, it's hard not to.
It's going to get dark again. Where is he going to sleep? Where is he going to go, you know?
Hopefully we'll find him for you by then.
I hope so. I hope so. He needs a help like a kid needs a help, you know?
I guess if we don't find him, this is something that's going to have to be searched thoroughly.
Yeah, that's right. Mandy and Gary are searching the park near his home.
You feel terrible if, you know, he fell and it was the one place you didn't look.
But just as it all looks hopeless...
Where are you, Omar?
Mandy gets the call. Local police have found him.
Sooner, we're just coming up to get you. He's okay, but we need to come and get you to come down because he's... Yeah. Are you outside where we just left you? Okay, Dad, we won't be long. Bye. Oh, God love us. We found him, we found him. Ah!
How did they find him? How did you guys know?
Well, we were just going to do a look around down the park.
Yeah.
So, and the police have turned up that we were meeting and said that he's been found.
We didn't look this way. I didn't look this way at all. I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay.
He'll be okay.
Oh my God.
Back in the Blue Mountains,
Heat moving a bit.
the searchers have split into two teams.
We've been 2 or 3 hours into the search, and we're now leaving the track area, and we're going to go towards Mount Hay, which is just up ahead.
Doug's team will climb Mount Hay to the east, and the rest of the team will go west and search the plateau and cliffs.
That's one thing we're lucky today. It's not 40 degrees, but humidity's about 200%, I think.
Gary's team is already working at 2 levels, scouring the top and bottom of the cliffs.
Can you guys see there's all little caves along here?
Again, we're looking at caves all along here. There seems to be a whole series of caves under rocks, which possibly could be quite habitable, or somebody could decide this could be a place to stay for a while. And as you know, Mr. Kennedy was a cave enthusiast, and we'd be mad not to check every cave along the edge. That's what we're doing now.
It is such dangerous work for police and volunteers. One slip and you're dead. Back in Sydney's west, 65-year-old Omar Orkin has been found sitting on the side of the road. He spent the whole night here, confused and crying, and no one stopped to help him. A night of sheer terror is finally over for Omar.
I think he needs to be checked out. So would you feel comfortable to do that at home if we get someone to come and see him, or would you rather him go up to the hospital?
We'll take him home. I think he might be more comfortable at home. Yeah.
Yeah. He had no idea where he was. He'd obviously been out here for a while. He had mud all over his shoes, so he'd obviously walked through the construction site across the street. So he was very confused. And then obviously because we couldn't communicate with him, he just took off, just started running down the road. So we had to follow him. We didn't want him to get hit by a car because he started to run out onto the road.
And now that she's found him, there's no way Suna is letting go. And at this very moment, tears of fear become tears of relief. High up in a remote area of the Blue Mountains,
So if we just cover this top section and we'll meet up with them.
after hours of climbing through rugged terrain, there's still no sign of Alan Kennedy.
Just reached the top of Mount Hay. It's been a 4 or 5 hour search, and now we have to go back down the other end of the mountain, make a sweeping search to try and see if we can't locate something there.
We're currently at grid 5918.
And up
7,
here,
6,
communication
3, 7. I'll
is
say that again.
critical.
Yeah, copy all that. We just give them hourly updates, basically, just on the off chance they lose contact with us. At least they've got some references to where we last were.
All this preparation probably indicates what Mr. Kennedy might have been up against by himself.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. Like, the unfortunate side of the police rescue work that we do up here, a lot of it is, you know, looking for and rescuing people that have undertaken something they just weren't prepared for. You find a lot in the mountains, people, they go out for a day trip with next to no water provisions, and they find themselves exploring a little further than they'd planned, and they fatigue and dehydration set in so quick. Unfortunately, most people we rescue are underprepared, and it's hard to get the message out. For a short walk, really, you should have 2 litres per person, minimum. Not a 250ml drink bottle, it just doesn't do the trick.
But even with all the right preparation, these mountains are still treacherous.
Tassie or
up in and it's those places, big mountain range. People go, they down, they start from the bottom and they go up. When they get buggered or lost, they're coming down again, and that's easy. Into the mountains, they will start up high. Wherever you go down. When you get buggered, you look around and think, oh shit, I can't get up there, and they're trapped. Daylight runs out, and they're stuck.
It just brings home how hard searches are up here. You know, you could throw a marble, shiny marble down this cliff face into the valley, or as far as you could, and you obviously you would never find it. That's what it's like. But when you're looking for somebody who may have come to grief, but we won't give up. We can't give up. There's teams of people here, volunteers, police, police rescue. We must make an effort, and we must go to conclusion with it.
In the case of missing immigrant Omar Orkin, after being lost and afraid for 24 hours, this childlike man is safe and home at last. Omar and his sister Gulu have never been separated all their lives. And this has been the most traumatic event of their sheltered lives. The paramedics examine him to see if he's injured.
No, he's just scared. He's saying, I'm scared. There was a whole day. He fell off. His back is hurting, he said.
Can you ask him, can I have a look at his back?
Main concern is his fall down that hole. He could have damaged his spine.
I think we've been incontinent as well.
Back in Mackay, on the case of missing Army Lieutenant Sean Sargent, after the disappointment of the river search, his dad Tom is still sure the Army knows a lot more about his son's disappearance than it's saying.
The fact that he had this top secret security clearance and they weren't interested in looking for him never made sense to me. Like you think, they think, God, what is he could be an Al-Qaeda or anything, you wouldn't know. And that's another thing they said not long ago. They were investigating 7 missing military people to see if they were an Al-Qaeda, but I've never been able to find out whether he was one of them or not.
Not long after 24-year-old Sean disappeared, Tom received a series of strange phone calls from overseas.
My wife called out to me and to get on the phone in the shed, and I went and could tell there was someone there. So I got her to hang up, still wouldn't talk, and we swapped back hanging up and asked them was Sean and everything, and then they hung up.
You knew someone was there, you could hear them breathing, but they wouldn't say anything, and we would talk to whoever it was, and we got to the stage where I'd say to him, talk to it like it is Sean, say something to him, you know, and he started doing that, and the first one he did that, it hung up straight away, as if it got a fright or something, you know, and we kept doing that when they kept calling after that, but we've had dozens and dozens since it started.
The Missing Persons Unit traced the calls to England, Canada and islands off the west coast of Africa. Tom and Ruth are still getting the calls and still hope they're from Sean.
A strange car will pull up. You go and have a look. Weird. It's up here, it's sort of, you're always hopeful, but you know it's not right, you know. You know there's no one in the car, you know, but you'll have a look anyway, you know.
Meanwhile, back in Sydney's west, Uncle Omar is now surrounded by the family who loves him so much. After 24 hours of worry, it's a time to rejoice. But there is still some frustration as well. His disappearance frightened everyone. And now, it's just a time to give thanks.
I can't explain my happiness to you. It's very good. He's healthy.
And he's back with us, with the whole family. Thanks to police and everyone.
It's one of the more rewarding cases I guess we've been involved in, and to see the family, you know, and those people surrounded by their families, yeah, rewarding for us that we could help. But at the end of the day, they've got family and they've got as much support as anybody needs. So wonderful, very nice.
If you come any overhangs, little ledges, just shout and I'll pass up the George.
Back in the mountains west of Sydney, just as the search for missing Grandad Alan Kennedy is about to wind up,
Just putting up a toilet paper to mark the boundary of the search. So when we come back, we go the other side of the paper.
on the edge of a remote cliff overlooking this beautiful valley, police find this campsite.
We've just now located something here on the cliff line. Looks like someone set up here for some time with a little seat. They've obviously set up these rocks in this sort of formation and collected all these white stones. You wouldn't walk out here on a whim. You certainly would have been heavy scrubbed before the fire when this gentleman went missing. So yeah, it's hard to say what would draw you to come here and collect all these stones.
But these mountains were very sentimental to Alan Kennedy.
His wife, who passed away, her ashes were spread at Evans Lookout,
Right,
which
okay.
I believe made his sister up through the canyon. There's pretty much as a crow flies from here. You can possibly see Evans Lookout.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Do you think that he'd come up here for that reason?
In the Blue Mountains, we do a lot of suicides up here purely from the fact that a lot of people tend to return to somewhere where they've got a romantic memory or a fond memory of a certain area, and we encounter that a lot.
At this point, we don't know whether there's a self-harm issue with his going missing, and a lot of people come to the Blue Mountains, unfortunately, to commit self-harm. We've just got to keep everything in mind at this stage. We don't know what his intentions were when he left his car, but we've got to cover all the bases.
Every year, over 30,000 people go missing. Have you seen Nancy Grunwald, last seen in Tasmania in 1993? Or 43-year-old Paul Lebrano, missing from Alstonville, New South Wales in 2001. And 48-year-old Linda Grimstone, who disappeared from Croydon Hills, Victoria in 2000. If you have any information, please call 1-800 333 000.